From game improvements that Bethesda didn't bother making, to texture changes that add 16 times the detail, the first week of Starfield mods truly does not disappoint. So let's take a look at what the community has been cooking. Well, first off, I have to mention that if you install any mods, your achievements will be disabled, which is a shame. And that's why you should get Achievements Enabler to just bypass that BS. I mean, I understand why that feature is there since people can use cheat mods, but we all know nobody actually does that. The real reason we use mods is to fix some issues that Bethesda didn't before releasing the game. So on that topic, Starfield launched without an FOV slider, or even an FOV command at the very least. But of course, they included one in the photo mode, so the code is there. I mean, they also neglected Fallout 76 and finally added an FOV slider only to make the same mistake again with Starfield. And thank God for in-game FOV changer that allows you to change the game's FOV with an easy command, just like in Skyrim. There are a few mods that change the FOV, but this is honestly my preferred one because I think it's pretty convenient to change it in-game. Now, will Bethesda implement a slider in the future? I think so, but this mod is very nice in the meantime. This mod makes running through the lodge give you a little bit of a rush as well, which is fun. So while Starfield is a beautiful game, it sure feels like sometimes it tries way too hard. It feels like it has filters upon filters upon filters. And what you're seeing right now is actually vanilla Starfield. I didn't change anything in this image. But I have the mod Neutral LUTs that actually removes the color filters from the game, which looks so much better in my opinion, and it also makes it easier to see in many areas, especially when it's dark. Aquila City, for example, had a really brown look to it, and now it looks more, well, real. In terms of the HUD, there's not a better mod that I recommend than Better HUD, making the HUD less in your face, and I mean literally less in your face. It will make the HUD elements, such as when you discover new areas or acquire XP, smaller and move them to the bottom of the screen. Yo, whose idea was to block my vision? And when you get kills and such in combat, they also are less distracting and could save your life. And I say could. While they make it better and easier to see, nothing can solve incompetence. There's even an option to disable the enemy's health and hit markers, which I actually want to keep personally, but it's nice that the option is there. Didn't you feel like the UI in the ship feels somewhat choppy? Well, it's capped at 30 FPS, but Alex Bull was kind enough to unlock it. So now look at that sweet smoothness going up to 120 FPS. I can barely run it at 60, but thanks for the option. This mod not only does that, but with its optional file, it boosts almost all UI elements not to be capped at 30 FPS. So when you're holding X to land on a planet, you can actually see the difference. It's slight, but it's nice that it's so much smoother. Now the real question is, why would you cap a UI element at 30 FPS? And while we're talking about UI, I recommend also getting Clean Field for a way smoother experience, removing annoying crap like the Bethesda intro logo. Listen, it's a nice animation, but I'd rather start the game faster than to see this a million times. It also removes the message of the day that no one ever reads. The epilepsy warning, I mean, it's nice that it's there, it's probably a legal requirement, but let's be honest, no one reads that. And even the Starfield logo itself, which is actually kinda brave. You would think that it's a little bit weird, but there's a version that doesn't remove it if you actually want to keep it. But in my opinion, it makes the main menu a lot cleaner. The script extender, also known as is also currently available way earlier than I expected. This is basically a framework that would allow more complex mods to exist. There are currently some mods that require it, such as enemy-friendly fire, which makes it so that enemies hit each other. And for now, it's not really a requirement for most mods, but soon, everyone will have this installed. Star UI, which I guess is now the successor to the famous Sky UI mod from Skyrim, changes the inventory UI to be more usable on PC. Just like Skyrim, the UI in Starfield is clearly designed for a controller and for someone to play far from the screen. But if you're using a keyboard and mouse, and especially if you're playing at a desk close to a monitor, this is a must-have. The mod makes everything more compact so you can see more items at once. It also comes with some great quality of life features such as columns for mass, value, damage, and all those goodies that you can now sort by. Thank God I don't have to search for that heavy piece of junk that's been draining my stamina anymore. It also adds some smaller changes such as a bigger scroll bar for easy grabbing, and it shows the category before the name of the item so that you can see what the item is, which is also pretty useful in inventory sorting. Also, I literally just noticed this item. I gotta love the Canadian food representation. Maple cola sounds delicious. One other thing I noticed when playing Starfield is that sometimes it takes a little bit of time for my character to pick up items after I press the interact button, which feels weird. In vanilla, it takes a whole second, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it feels off. So with responsive grabbing, the delay will be reduced to only 300 milliseconds, which feels a lot better. It's really hard to show on camera since you don't really know when I'm pressing my key, but I can assure you that the change is noticeable. When I'm kind of in a hurry and try to grab everything I can, this mod makes my hoarding obsession so much better. Also, look at this little Easter egg I found.
Good soup.
Another aspect of vanilla that I noticed while playing is that the flashlight is freaking pathetic. I mean, tell me if you really see anything with this on. There are a bunch of mods on the Nexus that are just as quality as this one, but I went with Helmet Torch Light Texture Swap. Without this mod, I probably wouldn't have seen this dude fighting for his life. This mod saves lives. But if you're actually feeling a little more funky, some honorable mentions are Giga Chad, Bill Clinton, and one called Flashlight Surprise, which memes aside is still better than vanilla. Now we covered most of the useful and borderline mandatory additions to Starfield, but just because it's the first week, it doesn't mean that some fun mods cannot appear every now and then. My personal favorite of this week is Todd Howard paintings, changing all the paintings in the lodge to a stylized picture of God Howard. Now that's a friendly face that I want to see every time I come home from a deadly adventure. Just look how much cozier the room looks knowing that Todd is watching your every move. Sometimes it's a little bit creepy knowing that Todd Howard sees pretty much every angle of the room. Hopefully it doesn't come with built-in cameras. God only knows what will happen in these rooms once more mods start rolling out. However, I love this mod. 10 out of 10 best Starfield mods so far. Now you might have noticed that all around New Atlantis there are some really cool advertisements here, showcasing local businesses and such, but what if I told you can turn this area to feel more like the lobby of an anime convention, with NSFW advertisements adding some artistic depictions of modern New Atlantis goddesses showing off their godly powers. I mean, this one's just insane. Now you might consider fans of this mod to be degenerates, but there are people out there who want to have Nazim on these ads, and Nazim lovers like Lincoln are worse than degenerates. I mean, the point of advertisements is literally to get your attention, and by Todd did they catch the attention of my character. Just see for yourself. And if you want to raise the temperature of the planetary system even more, you might also consider hot constellation guides, changing the covers of the magazines to even more pictures of modern goddesses. I mean, this mod tries, but I'm still convinced there won't be anything hotter than the cover of Solomon's Adventures. I mean, just look at this thing. I don't know what the obsession is with Sarah Morgan's outfit on the Nexus, but it feels like everyone's having a go. We got classics such as Dark Outfit, Kill Bill costume, Spacer's Choice logo, a nice nod to the Outer Worlds, Sarah the Pirate, but my personal favorite from this series would be Sarah Barbie, making her whole outfit bright pink, making her super easy to spot no matter how far she is. There even is a really cool Barbie logo on the back. Now obviously I won't play with this on, but it's sure a cool mod to show off. And it also works with her boring goody two-shoes attitude. And now for our last mod, I want to shout out Pure Dark's DLSS 2 mod that will help you get a nicer image quality and better FPS if you have an Nvidia graphics card, because Bethesda didn't bother to add DLSS support to the game, at least at launch. So if you want to learn more about DLSS and how it can make your game look and perform better, I recommend you watch my previous video, which I will link in the description, with everything you need to know and a step-by-step installation tutorial. Starfield is a massive game, and mods will make sure to turn this 7 out of 10 game into a 10 out of 10, just like they did, and they continue doing with Skyrim. So if you want to see more Starfield modding videos, make sure to hit subscribe and consider leaving a like if you enjoyed. A big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Just look how cute they look on the screen right there. Except Lincoln for loving Nazim, obviously. If you want to further support me, you can also join my Patreon, where you can see an extended version of all my videos with deleted jokes and behind the scenes. Other than that, go back to exploring the galaxy, have fun, and leave me alone.